Let's see if this is going to be any better. Here we go, friends. We're live. We're trying one more time. We'll try it one more time. Please come back. I think we're going to do a little bit better this time. I think maybe, just maybe, I've got this thing up and running. Hey, everybody that's come back, I really do appreciate it. I'm really sorry about that. I'm really embarrassed. Thank you for coming back, everybody. I think we're going to be all right. Brittany Renee, would you please shut that door? He's okay. We got the dog in here. So, for everyone, I don't know how much you heard the last time, but Carrie Ann Sear, thank you for joining. Really appreciate you getting on here. Thank you so much, Katrina. Katrina, I might need you to come over here and help me do this. So you might have to start spending the night with us, Katrina. Can you help us? Or Kathleen? All right, guys, we're about to get started. As you know, like I was saying, please like, please share, please comment. What we do is the following day, whoever shared this, you do go into a raffle, and we will pick one winner. The winner will get an Allion Maine gift card. It's $25. If you follow my social media, you know how I feel about the Allion Maine. In my opinion, it is the best restaurant when it comes to food service, food quality, and the service that you get there. It's unmatched. So that's why I've chosen to reward people that share this with the Allion Maine. So what the show's about tonight is how a certain coach changed my life. And anybody that knows me, they're well aware of who that coach is. It's no secret. It's Coach Michael Burt. But I really like to talk about my life, what my life was like before a coach. And I want people to understand this when I say this, is my story is not my success level right now, because I don't consider myself nearly as successful as I want to be, as successful as I should be. So don't get confused whenever I'm talking about this, because I'm nowhere near where I want to be on this journey. It's just I feel like my success is different because it happened at such a... Yeah. It didn't work tonight, Brittany Renee, but hey, we figured it out. But I feel like my success was someone that was very, very mediocre for a good part of their life, up until the time I was about 35 years old. And certain things changed in my life that was a catalyst. It was a thunderbolt that led me into a different direction. Craig Powell, my man, how are you doing, buddy? Thank you for getting on here. But I feel like share this for me, Craig. You might win an Allion Maine gift card. And I know how much you like food. I know how much you like to cook. Allion Maine is a good place. Maybe you'll get there. So, Mama, it looks like you're back on here. I appreciate the likes. I need you to share it. Please ask some questions. So I'm going to talk about what my life was like before I had a coach. And let's go back. I'm 43 years old. And again, what I like to do is talk back to myself at 30 years old. If I would have done this, I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back and educate myself at 30 when I was in a completely different position. So before, I've got 5 things I'm going to talk about. And, the last 5 are really more in-depth than the first 2, and I've talked so much about the first 3. So before, my discipline and my commitments just I had very limited action. Do you understand what I'm saying by limited action? For me, and this is really talking about my work life, I didn't come into the office. I didn't come into the day. I didn't, with my job, I didn't put forth enough action. So, of course, if you don't put forth enough action, you're not going to get results. So, for so long, I think I just thought one day this is going to happen for me. One day I'm just going to keep on keeping on, as Joe Dirt might say, and things are going to happen for me. Things will get better. The super coach has now joined us, and he can attest to a lot of the things that I'm going to say tonight. So before Coach Burt, my commitments were in And Shane Ray, thank you for coming back, man. I'm sorry. Everybody that's been on here, I apologize about my Wi-Fi connection. Dale Childress, I know you're down there by Coach Burt. He's in Miami. Maybe you might even be at that Growth Con tomorrow. One day never happens. You know, I just hung up with Coach Burt, Richard, and we were talking about something. This was my thought. You know, for 10 years, I had 10 years of real estate experience, but I really only had 1 year of Joe Dirt. I only had 1 year of doing the same thing over and over again for 10 years. So what I mean by that is I was not progressing during those 10 years. Those first 10 years, I didn't really get any better. I think some time probably gave me more knowledge in what I was doing, but I was not on a multiplying effect where I was getting better and better. That just didn't happen for me. My discipline, my commitments held me down. I was not striving to get better. Hey, thank you, Brittany Renee, for those nice comments. Number two, we had a class about this, and this was me. It wasn't that I was ever a bad person. It was really I was a low-frequency problem solver. It's easy for me to recognize somebody that is a low-frequency problem solver because that was me. So what a low-frequency problem solver looks like, for most of my life, I was talking Notre Dame football. Whenever I was around my friends, most of our conversations were very low level discussions. It was usually about sports. It was usually about what we were going to do that weekend. It was always something that maybe occasionally we would get into work talk, but I was around people where we didn't talk about work. We weren't talking about getting better. We weren't holding one another accountable to perform at a higher level. Dave Thomas, Riverdale's all-time, the best quarterback ever at Riverdale, has joined us. So we've all been there. So that was how my life was. And during this time, the one thing I noticed was my bounce back was very, very low. So during the weeks, a setback would really, really kill my prediction. If things did not go the way they needed to for me to succeed, it was really, really hard for me to get past those things. It was very hard to get up after a defeat because the main reason was because I was so dependent on what I needed to happen. You know, now we've got so many things going on. If there's a setback, it's much easier to get over it. Well, 34, 35 years old, if that one thing I was hoping so much to happen, if it didn't happen, it was very, very hard to overcome. And it would get me down. And whenever you're down, have you ever noticed when you're down and you're beat up, if you don't snap out of that mindset, more bad things just kind of float your way. It's kind of like you can't shake them. So now the way I am today is I try to force those things to not, if they come in my mind, you can't really control what comes into your mind because thoughts are going to pop up, but you can condition yourself to get rid of them. So now I'm really trying to force myself to not get tied up into low frequency thinking, low frequency problem solving. Coach Burt talked about that the other day. I think I'm blessed because I've never been someone that was competing. It's never been in me to compete with others or against others. I've always kind of been someone that wanted to compete against myself. Everybody that's joining on here, I really appreciate you. Please know I need you to like, share, comment. If you share this stream, I will give you, or we will pick one person out of a raffle. And if you're the winner, you'll get a $25 gift card. Natalie Burt, I think you're down in Miami. I hope you're having fun. But so number one is my discipline was very, very weak. My commitment was very, very weak. Number two, I was a low frequency problem solver. I was really focused more on sports, talking to my buddies about sports, about the nightlife, what we were going to do that week. So during this time, work, self-improvement was not something that I was really focused on. Katrina, Sure, bless great tree you have for building others up. Well, Katrina, you know, I appreciate you saying that because so many people have helped me. Mom, I can't do it without you. But back to you, Katrina. It's very important for me to give back to people because I've had so many people that pour things into me when I probably let them down over and over again. So that's why I'm saying that my story, my success story is not where I'm at today. It's more about what a late starter I was, about how I overcame things that most people, by the time they're 35 years old, I think it's very hard to get off the course that you've been on. As you know, the older we get, the harder it is to start to change. Tony Woodall told me, or he instilled this in me, the hardest thing that I'll ever do is to change. And the other hardest thing is to believe in myself. Think about how hard those things are to believe in you and to change. At 35 years old, I was forced to change. 36, whenever the real estate economy just really hit the tank, I was in a position to where I had no other choice. I was finally at that. If you ever hear you're going to be sparked by either you're going to be sparked by pain or potential. I always felt like I was not living up to my potential. But finally the pain set in and I didn't have a choice whenever I owed a lot of money and those people wanted their money. They was coming after me. So I didn't have a choice. So this penalizes you to bounce back needed for success. It is. And my self-belief at that time was not near where it needed to be. I had to build that muscle. That self-belief muscle is something, it's no different than any other body part. It's no different than any other muscle. It is something that you can train. It is something that you can build. And over time, it's taken me years to be able to do that because all of our confidence, I believe God gave us, it's all internally. So number one was my discipline. Number two was I was a low frequency thinker, meaning I was not solving big enough problems. Number three, going into number three, and this is something that, how successful are you? Do you have peace? Jeff, I don't understand exactly what that's saying. How successful are you? You know, ask me that question again, Jeff. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying. I tried to tell you not to be scared of storms when you're a little boy. You did, Mama. I was scared of storms thanks to my grandmother, who's still scared of storms. So number three is something. This is actually something that I learned as I was going through my self-improvement phases. And I think a lot of people that are in sales do not know how to sell. That does not mean you can't build relationships and you can't convince people. That's not what I'm saying. Peace in life. I think you can people. When I had the most peace, Jeff, is probably whenever I decided at about 36, whenever everything was going to hell in my life. And you said, God, whatever's going to happen, it's in your hands. And that peace really did give me more confidence. And it came at the absolute lowest point of my life, which you would think that I was probably really struggling with peace. But the peace actually came when I was about 36, 37 years old. I moved in with my mama. I had a lot of things to be embarrassed about, but I just said, you know what, it is what it is. And that's probably whenever that bit of peace hit me when I was at my lowest of lows. So that is kind of ironic. But number three, and I don't think enough people understand this, how to sell. Everybody sells. I don't care what you do. I don't care what line of work you're in. You are selling to get your way. No matter what you do, you are selling. Hey, I like all these crazy faces that I'm seeing. But no matter what you do, David Latham, I see you joined. You sell people. You sell other people to get gigs all the time. Other than that, what is stopping you, GTT? Everything comes back to me, Kathleen. Everything that is limiting me is right here. My brain is what limits me. It's what limits everybody else over there. It's your own thoughts that limit you. Thank you for asking that, Kathleen. So I didn't understand how to sell. That did not mean I did not know how to build relationships. I could go out there and build relationships and connect with people, and I could get them what they wanted. But that did not mean I could sell. I really didn't learn how to sell until I got Grant Cardone's Mastering Objections class. I teach overcoming objections every Monday. We call it Mastering Monday. And he's made this very systematic. If anybody out there wants to learn how to sell, you're more than welcome to come over on Mondays at 9 o'clock. And I teach what Grant Cardone taught me. It's how to overcome objections. He makes it so simple that anybody can understand it. The only problem with this is it takes a while to form the habits. You've got to know the discipline of how you control conversations. And you cannot control people in the sales process, but I do believe you can control the conversation. So forever, I was a relationship builder, but I was a wimpy salesperson. So whenever tensions got high, I would fold. I would give in. I would try to solve the problem by just getting the tension down. And that's not selling. Selling is getting to the real problem. And I didn't understand that. Hey, some of these questions are coming up. I don't know if they're at me or if they're at other people. But I didn't know how to sell. And it took me a long time to figure out that I had to learn how to become a challenger. And a challenger is someone, that does not mean you're rude. A challenger is someone that can listen, and challengers don't have a fear whenever tensions rise. They try to calm. They're not scared to be a risk taker in the transaction. You rewarded in public what you practice in private. Bill Maddox, man, hey Bill, I keep hearing great things about you. Coach Burt is bragging on you all the time. It sounds like you've been great. If anybody's looking to get into Coach Burt's program, Bill Maddox is his head of sales guy over there. And Bill, I still think there's a lot of people that would be interested if you were to do an NLP class, that neuro-linguistic programming where you can understand people's body language. That's really, if you understand that, you can really understand the sales game. So it took me too long. I wish I would have gotten better. Dan Elam always told me that how most agents were just order takers. So an order taker is someone that listens and they get something, or they give people what they want. A real salesperson can go out there and control the conversation and show them what they want. So those were some things that I was really lacking. So number one, I was I was not committed enough. Lack of discipline. I was a low frequency problem solver. That means I was bogged down by things that did not matter. They were very small productive problems I was solving. Number three is I didn't understand how to sell. So I'm getting into number 4, number 5, and these are the things that were very influential in my growth. I was someone that I did not like going out and pursuing business. And Coach Burt wrote a book. I remember the days we were talking about what he was going to do, and it was called Person of Interest. And we had lots. Me and Michael usually go to breakfast every Saturday morning. Every Saturday morning, we're going to talk about things. It's usually strategy. It's always work related. You know, right now, today, we're talking work. Well, let's go back to before I had a coach. My low frequency talks were probably about football. They were probably about small things that had nothing to do with me getting better. I had no ambitions of self-improvement. I didn't even know what self-improvement was. I knew probably who a few authors were, but I didn't know what it meant to come in every day and get better at something. So Michael was talking about how he wanted to write a book, and it was focused on attracting business to you instead of going out and pursuing. If you're in outside sales is someone I say that they've got to go out and Tom Love, the best presenter of the EOS that I've seen in a while. Thank you for doing that, Tom Love. But I can't tell if this keeps going in and out. But I did not want to attract. I'm sorry. I did not want to chase business. Order takers. That's right. Dan Elam hates the order taker mentality. You've got to learn how to control conversations. But Bert introduced that person of interest, and it was something like Tom Love. He talks about whenever he read the Challenger Cell, and he developed that EOS, that person of interest concept that Michael created really resonated with me, because I was someone, I didn't want to go out and chase business. Maybe it was because of my pride. Maybe it was because of my ego. All that stuff is probably intermingled in there together. But I did not want to go out and chase business. I wanted business. I didn't know how to get it. I didn't know what to do. So his concept was broken down into 8 steps. So I became fascinated with how was I going to become a person of interest. And I'm going to break these down, because some of the things that he was discussing, I had that natural ability. Some of the things I was very weak in, and some of the things I was average at. So number 1 was knowledge. The number 1 trait for a person of interest was knowledge. And I'd been in the business about 10 years, and I was gaining knowledge. So I was getting better. So during this time, that was something that I felt like, hey, I can get better. I can learn more about this. I know quite a bit about real estate. So that wasn't a problem. Number 2 was skill. I had to put a lot of work in here. This is something that I had to understand how to sell. Status sales, that's right, coach. I had to understand how to become more scripted, because what he was saying about skills, it's your scripts. It's the way you talk to people. It's the way you present. It's the way Coach Bert and Tom Love, they talk about that at EOS, explaining what you do, explaining how you do it. You fall into that commodity trap all the time where people ask you, what do you do? So, 1, knowledge, I was okay there. I was getting better. Skill, that's one area I had to go to work. And now looking back, it's very easy for me to say, hey, the coach is down there in the Diplomat in Miami, Florida. But skill was something I had to put time in. And I can tell everybody out there right now, if you put a lot of time into self-improvement in your job, you're going to make more money. I don't see any other way around that. If you're very good at what you do, the market will eventually reward you. Number 3 was confidence. And this is something that was new for me. Tony Woodall was helping me understand confidence. I never really got that confidence comes from inside. So a few years prior, Tony was helping me build this. So knowledge, skill, confidence. This was something that I was working on. I was getting better at. Number 4 was deep networks. And this is something that I'm still working on. I'm still trying to get my networks better, where people are calling me because I'm affiliated with them or someone they know. So a referral system is when great people say great things about you. Number 5, this is something that I had to do a lot of work. Whole lot of work. Desire. So we got knowledge, skill, confidence, deep networks, desire. This was very hard for me because honestly, I didn't love the way I was doing my business. Whenever Coach Bert was talking to us about unique ability, and I'm just my weakness. What is your weakness? I stole that line from you, Tom Love, by the way. I agree, but for, Tom, it took me forever to understand about working with people that believe what you believe. Instead, what Tom Love is saying, and he's got a book called EOS. If you want to get better, some people call it their elevator pitch, but you've got about less than 10 seconds to connect with somebody. And what Tom Love says is he explains what he does and why he does it. He's telling them why he does it. And if they don't believe what he believes, he moves on from them. We listened to him the other day, and man, it was so powerful when he gave this he gave this scenario on Friday afternoon. As a salesperson, you are trained to find out what people want and then give them what they want. But that could come with repercussions, because you might not believe the same things, and whenever you don't believe the same things, it makes the transaction so challenging. So if people don't believe what you believe, you really need to move on. So whenever I decided I was going to be Good Time Tommy and I was going to build that brand, some people were turned off by that. But a lot of the reason why I was doing this, I'd heard Tom Love talk about finding people that believe what I believe. And as Coach Burt always says, like attracts like. I was looking for people that believed what I believe, because I believe that you can have fun and still be elite at what you do. Because I believe this, because I'm having the most fun and I'm making the most money that I've ever made. Everybody that's joined, I appreciate that. Joe Rich, I know you want to talk about that little coaching story. So knowledge, skill, confidence, deep networks, desire. That desire was somewhere that was an area I had to go to work on, because I did not love the idea of coming in and being a solopreneur. That meant I had to do it all. I had to go out, I had to find customers, I had to work the whole transaction, and there was so much of that I did not like. And I'm glad Michael Burt shared unique ability strategies, where I wanted to find the part of the job that I really, really liked, and I wanted to focus more time on there. Hey, Dave Ross, how you doing? Good to see you on here. I agree with that, Jason. And whenever you, like Tom Love says, whenever you're dealing with the people you want to deal with, and whenever you're doing exactly what you want, it is a lot more fun. A whole lot more fun. So desire, I had to find a way to make I had to create a way that I would be happy doing the job. And I'm going to get into that in the next segment. 6 was likability. That was just something I felt like. Likability. I've always felt like I've been likable. And I'm not trying to brag on myself, but I've always felt like I can connect, or I can get hey, cousin Stacy. I felt like likability was something that I was okay with. So I really felt like likability and knowledge was something that was okay. Likability, his other one was connectivity. And that's being able to connect with different people. And that's something that I felt like, hey, I can do that. I can usually talk with people. Now, you got to watch out for connecting with people that you may not want to do business with. And Tom, it's funny that you're on here, because after you did that EOS for Mega Monster, I was in a situation where I had to confront someone, and I pretty much told them maybe we don't believe the same things, and I was really risking a high commission when I told them that. And but I was very motivated. But I keep going back to what you're saying, getting a call Friday evening from somebody that we don't believe the same things. That's been very powerful, Tom, I guess. And I think that's something I'm always going to remember. So, likability, connectivity, free prize. This is something that's still going on, the free prize. I'm going to give you an example of a free prize. I bought the Grant Cardone University for Life. And the free prize is I get to go meet that guy in his office. That's a free prize. Whenever you're dealing with people with higher status, that may be a free prize. So that's something, deep networks and free prize, that's something that I'm going to have to continue to work on. Comes the dog I thought he was put up. Hey, Zach Messer, thank you for joining, my man. Greg, you know what? The client did stay with me, and it was something to where it was a. If you read that book called The Challenger Sale, the tensions were high, and the reason why I couldn't do what he wanted is I would not feel good about doing the transaction. I wouldn't have felt good about doing it. Goes back to that dealing with people that believe what you believe. That there's people out there that don't like the bold good time Tommy. They may not understand it. They may not understand it. They may not agree with it, but it's what I want to become known as. And the people that understand that, we will attract, we will do business together. It's like Tom saying, your life will be so much better. Man, it's a real treat to have Tom on here. Free prize breakfast, Sylvan Park. That's right. I need you there more often, Dave. So number 5, this is really where Coach helped me take things to another level. Because I think everybody that's in business out there, you shouldn't only want to do this alone. You need a team. You all need a team. I was thinking today, I don't know where I was, but I was thinking about how good of a experience could I give somebody by myself? How good can it be? I did it for 10 years. And the only thing I really offered to these people were my connectivity and my likability. But there was a lot of things I could not offer them. So whenever a coach kept pushing me to become more scalable, where I was duplicated, but the reason why I wanted to be scalable is I wanted to work more in the areas that were fun for me. And now, if you know anything about me, what's the most what I like the most is building the brand, the Good Time Tommy brand. I could sit up all night, every night, working on that. And luckily, the people that work together at my hometown, our boomtown, me, Katrina, Lisa, Kathleen, and the weatherman, Stephen, I wouldn't trade anybody. I wouldn't trade them for anything. Tom, I don't know how. I know what you're saying. What Tom is saying is your job is not to go out there and chase people. What happened here?